That was the wrong button. Apologies.
Yes.
Stop. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for saying yes to this conversation. I'm just hearing like on the outskirts of my attention from time to time about legends of what you're up to in New Zealand, the RAW project and the the podcast, the Edgecast that you created. God, I'm not yet in the new terminology fully anchored. And I'm curious, and I'm glad that you made this proposal to record this conversation, because I had the same sense and I was like, but I don't know really what is going to happen, but I'm so glad we're doing it anyways. So my question is, I've heard, Julia, you are the founder, the creator of the creationness of edgecasting. And will you say a few words about what that is and how you started that?
Yes. So I started a podcast in about a year and a half ago, roughly. And Chloe actually pulled me up on it, and she's like, yeah, it's not really a podcast, what you're doing. What is it? And she asked me to walk with a question or put that possibility in my field. Because what I was doing is I was holding space for people to speak into. So I was kind of conducting interviews because I wanted women to speak to their edge already, like what they're doing, like to map out a territory for people to hear, okay, this is actually already possible. And I could be so bold to inspire other people, especially women in this case, to build out this territory. It's like, okay, others are already doing it, and let yourself be inspired so you can do that. And so I wasn't really speaking about myself in it, and I wasn't also not even, at some points, not even asking so many questions, or sometimes it would be more of a conversation. But yeah. And I was with Janet Redmond, who then helped me. Like she's like, maybe it's an Edgecast. Like, yes, that's the word. So it was a collaboration, the word, and it's, as I keep walking with it, the way, like, I looked into the terminology, and podcast comes from Apple iPod and broadcasting, and that was the device that it was used on. And I'm not really wanting to promote that. I guess I'm not into this game. So yeah, Edgecast has turned out for me to be really a broadcast for edge workers, about the edge. So really edge of modern culture, and mapping out how could it go differently? Like, what are people already doing at the edges, and what is then your puzzle piece as you're listening? So, okay, this like, if she can do that, maybe I could do that. What is my part? And yeah. And it's a bridge. So it's a bridge for people that are in modern culture, or for people that are on the path into next culture, to keep going or to build out their own. Yeah. And I noticed that quite a lot of people out there, it's something that's happening in the field, that people interview each other, and I love it. I'm glad about that. And, so your question is like, okay, I want to hear some more. I have some questions around that. And yeah, I totally think it's time to make visible what's happening, because there is so much happening, and taking it out of the shades and putting it really in the bright light, so that others can see, like, okay, I'm actually not alone. Actually, wow, there are other stories to tell than the general story of doom and gloom and competition and profit making. And yeah, it's really feeding the field with empowering stories and inspiring stories and distinction. Yeah. Also about bringing distinctions to life.
So you started out as, like, I didn't fully get it. You started out interviewing people, but also speaking. Like,
yeah, I was following necessity, and my necessity was to Yeah, radically live. Okay, I'll start maybe a bit earlier. It's like the radically live women is something that started as a 4-day immersion that I was holding with Sibylla Bedat in New Zealand, as an in-person getting together. And I realized there's something missing in terms of how to build the container for that, how to build out the like more mass for women to be able to connect to that. And my piece was I love interviewing people. I love holding space for people to speak into. That just comes through me, and I've been doing that my whole life, I think. And yeah, and then as I let go of my expand the box trainer identity, I used to be an expand the box trainer for a few years, and that didn't really take off for me. It wasn't really my archetypal lineage. It didn't really come through there. Then I was faced with, okay, what now? And I just decided to follow that impulse of I love doing that, and I'm just going to do that. And so I started interviewing, and also I started interviewing and also being part of the interview, like not taking myself fully out, also being part of the conversation. And yeah, so that emerged. And I've played around a bit, so being less in the conversation, like really just like in some episodes, there's like 3 questions of me and I don't say anything else, and it's just all this stuff comes out. Yeah. Yeah.
And this piece that you just mentioned about listening, and it was always part of your journey. Can you say a bit about that? It seems to I resonated with that, felt resonance.
Yeah, I'm discovering the immense non-material value that like a real like that a listening space has. And a listening space, there are different kinds of listening spaces. There are listening spaces that I've done a lot as a woman, especially just letting people dump their stuff into my space and just being like a garbage can. So I've done a lot of that, and that's more like the shadow aspect of it, I guess. And to be loved, to be someone for the other, be needed. But then there's something that came through the possibility management path of possibility listening, adult listening, these other kinds of listening, where I could become the space for the other to speak into. And that requires me to have also like to be a space holder, and that means I'm not a garbage can. I have a sword, I have clarity for the kind of space I'm holding, and I can declare the space. And so discovering the immense power of listening when I do that consciously, and also it's a more recent development for me, like the last half year, that I acknowledge it to myself, the immense value of that. And that's been also with the help of other people that would give me feedback that, you know, when I listen, something happens to them, to their speaking, to their clarity, to their possibilities. And I'm like, it's hard to grasp for a modern culture trained mind or box to say, okay, well, there's actually something different qualities in listening that people can even detect and notice. Yeah. So I'm discovering that, and I'm discovering my enthusiasm about that. There's really a research that I love about it. It's like I read Clinton Callahan's book, No Reason, and there's the piece in the book that stuck most with me is when he, did you read that by any chance?
Yeah.
When he was in this, like they had this, like Arnaud Desjardins was speaking to the students, and Clinton would just set up the space, sit in the middle, ask one question, ask everybody else to take notes. And the technology he used to empty the space continuously through his grounding cord. And I was like, fuck yes, that's such a great technology. I'm going to try that. And I've been trying that, and it works, and I love it. And I'm intrigued because I think there's much more to discover about it than that. And there's probably people out there that have discovered more. And yeah, I love that. I love how that, brings possibility of people's beings to come through, and for them to speak from a different place also than their ego or their box. So the more I do it, like, you know, yeah, thank you for supporting this Julia Butterfly Hill interview, because as I was in there, I was like, fuck yes, I love doing that. This is my job, and I never thought that this could be a job. Yeah. And like, okay, so this is my job, and then the next challenge is, okay, how do I make that so that I can actually keep doing that and don't have to go do other jobs so I sustain my life? I haven't figured that puzzle yet out, but it's a path to walk.
I'm while I'm listening to you, I'm mapping inside of me out a kind of path to become an Edgecaster. And I think like I'm feeling turned on by this idea. When I told you, when I read it, when I read the website, I got these goosebumps. I was like, I'm an Edgecaster. And I think there are other Edgecasters out there who don't know yet that they're Edgecasters, who could use a website as, of course, not a rule book, but as a kind of liana to grab and to swing with for some time at least.
I love.
And when you think about it, or when you look at your own journey, what would be steps to becoming an Edgecaster? What would be steps that you can offer as possibilities to someone who wants to become an Edgecaster?
Yeah, great question, because I've been also walking with this question of, okay, how do I share what I've been discovering, and how can people be empowered to do that? See that in one thing that I've noticed is that actually all my space holding training flows into it. You know, the whole path of being an expand the box trainer and going through these maps of expand the box totally supported me to be able to hold space. So part of the path is learn to hold space and go through the healing processes necessary that you can actually and keep healing. Like, keep being on the path, on the evolutionary path is one. Like, that's like the groundwork. And like, I love this possibility of, if you have a topic that interests you, to start interviewing people about it and start recording it. And really, in that, practice space holding to center, ground, bubble, declare a golden cube, set a grounding cord, call in your bright principles, and have a clear purpose for that conversation. It doesn't mean you have to know where you want to get to, not at all. It's more like you need to know the starting point. Like, that's what I've noticed. And so that's for the space holding part. And then there's especially like, it's like when you're holding Rage Club, instead of telling people about rage, how it is and is not, the new map and the old map, while you're building your circle, could be curious about, okay, what is their, interviewing them about their maps of rage, or what is in the way for them to be angry, and all of that. Like, this would be bridge building already. And to start being curious about people and shift that perspective. And then, like, in very practical terms, I came across this article that I also put on the Edgecast website, edgecast.strikingly.com, that where there's 10 steps, really 10 simple steps from a podcasting platform about how to set something up. And so there's this logistic of just having a platform that you can actually broadcast on. And it helps to use podcasting platforms for that already have the reach and that people already are using. So there are some steps for that, and to choose, to think about what is the topic, what is the container, what is the space that you're holding space for in the bigger picture of what is your purpose, what is that you're intrigued by. In my case, it's women and their radical aliveness. And I know you do a lot of men's work, Kian, so maybe for you it's something about, men. That would be such a valuable space to open up, to speak with men that are actually beyond the holy tribal hero, that really want authentic adulthood, manhood for their lives. And yeah, so picking the topic, picking the maybe more like the territory that you're curious about, intrinsically curious about. And also there's so much possibility how you can do that. You can do interviews, but you can also do research and then speak about it yourself, and or mix it, or like possibilities are endless. So, and then to choose a format that works for you. I started to choose 20 to 30 minutes. I started to choose actually 20 minutes, and I made it quite rigid that it's a 20 minutes episode to start with, so that it would be, yeah, there were statistics that was a good number, that was the length that worked best for people across the platforms. And also for me it worked because then I wasn't making it such a big thing, and it was sort of digestible, or like concise, to not go into this, people can talk for hours about things they love, and to make it to get to the essence. I'm interested in the essence of things, so to navigate to the essence and get there within 20. And now I've extended it to 30 minutes, and it's not so rigid anymore. It's like if things need to come, they come, and I'm still holding space for this time frame around 30 minutes. So to ask yourself, like, okay, what is that I want? Maybe it's more like 1 hour conversations, and what is the rhythm, your rhythm? Like, I've gone for weekly broadcasts, and that is quite a commitment, and I'm glad about that. But like, maybe someone else wants to do it every 2 weeks, or every 3 weeks, or once a month, or like, there's no right or wrong. It's just, I find it helps to commit to a rhythm. It helps me to commit to a rhythm. Otherwise it can fade out. And yeah, and letting that, what really interests you, like to let yourself commit to that, and then let that commitment shape you, and that will get you in interesting places. Like, yeah, after 1.5 years of doing these, or not quite 1.5 years, but a bit more than a year of doing these interviews, I notice how my shape is changing, that I'm now getting bolder also in reaching out to, it's like, it's been a gradual discovery journey to reaching out to women that I might think they might probably say no. And I have reached out to women that haven't gotten back to me, but that's okay. People that have written books and are famous, and I've reached out to them to see whether I could interview them, and I don't always hear back, and that's okay. Like, I still keep going anyway, because I want this to exist.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that what is it that wants to come through you, Kian? What is it that you're, in a way, like, turned on by, like, that sparks you, lights you up to explore with edgecasting in some form?
My fire burns bright for finding out what transformation is about, or how it works. And so the title for my podcast, oh God, my Edgecast, is Shift Happens, Tales of Transformation.
Wow.
And yeah, I'm having this, I have also this curiosity with you. I thought about asking you to make a podcast with me, because I have this curiosity about how different people transform differently, or with different tools, or with different speeds, or with different contexts even. It seems to me like you're holding space for a very specific, I don't know, it's a very unique context. And when I would put words on it, it's a feminine, it's a sensitive, it's a it is this kind of more creating a vacuum for evolution to happen approach. And you're really holding that firmly, that flag. And I'm curious about how it's working, and where is it working, or where's this approach working, where maybe another approach that is also happening in possibility management, where it's more like there's this I forgot the other term, but there's the difference between vacuum and
Pressure or like a
pressure learning. Yeah. And so, yeah, how these kind of differences between what transformational principles and spaces work and are needed also maybe sometimes from time to time in different quantities and qualities, and yeah, and make a research about this, go to different people and say, hey, what worked for you in these areas to make a change, and see how there is, if there's a map being created out of that.
Cool project. Go. I love it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm up for an episode of that if you want to do that.
Cool. I'm glad.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and the cool thing is there is not one way. There is not one right way. And yeah, I keep learning. I also keep learning about that. About the pressure. Because it's like, yeah. The different kinds of pressure even. But that would be, yeah, something to explore in a separate episode, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And so you have already created something. Shift happens.
Tales of transformation.
Of transformation. Cool.
Yes. Yeah, I've created something, and it's not fully set up yet. It's more like a stepping stone, but I've built the fundament. I've put even my first episode on there, even though it's not fully done yet. Yeah. Cool. So, and then I have these very logistical questions of so what kind of software do you use for working with the with your podcast?
Mm-hmm. So do you mean to edit it or to
edit it?
Yeah, I want to say first that there are these, you know that probably, Kian, and there's someone who hasn't researched that there are different platforms that already offer a hosting for free, and you can, like, podcasters on Spotify is one. It used to be Anchor, and Buzzsprout another one, and I think Caster is another one. So there are these platforms where you can make an account for free and you can start podcasting away, edgecasting away, broadcasting away. You know, there are also other variations of Edgecast that some people might call it portal cast or hardcast, whatever it is, like cast away. And then, yeah, I personally want, like, I've learned that it's worth putting some extra effort in to make it, to look at the quality of things, and I'm on the learning spiral for that still. So editing to make the sound better, or editing to cut some ums out so it's a bit easier digestible in the listening experience, so that there's beauty in the listening experience also. And for editing, I'm using a software that works on Microsoft, like on a Microsoft computer or Windows computer. It's called WavePad. It's basic. It's not something that I would say, yeah, I would totally go for that. There are more professional softwares probably. That's just what I started out with, and it works for now.
Mm-hmm.
And Millicent, who does a lot of editing, also has an Apple computer, and she works with GarageBand, and GarageBand is for free on Apple. So WavePad has a fee to pay, like a license fee.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, and then this.
Go.
Like, you could even just Google or like search on a browser for editing software for sound. Like, this is on the audio, and then for, you know, if you could also choose whether you want to publish videos with your Edgecast. and then the videos might need editing or not. Like you choose what you want to do with that. There's actually I don't have the link right now, but I can let you know about that. There are also platforms that offer software, including like a video recording platform where it has maybe a higher quality than Zoom in terms of the video recording, and they then offer snippets and all sorts of things. So that's paid platforms. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. And what you just said speaks to another interesting quality, the cutting out M's and learning to make the podcast more listener friendly. And where you speak a bit to that, and also the journey of that, I assume that you maybe have been going on to speak more succinctly or precise, and how that whole thing is going.
Yeah, I love this learning journey, actually, to notice as I edit the audios, to notice my speaking and what I do, like become conscious of my patterns. So I noticed that, I noticed that I would ask 3 questions at once, and that doesn't serve the space, for example. So I would learn from that. And also to learn from as I edit, like what am I doing and how can I shift that so that I speak more clearly, or that some of it I have addressed and some of it I've not, like. But that's actually really fun to find out more about for me. And also, I enjoy that process of learning about speech pattern, like there's these sound waves and then you can see on the profile of the sound, it's so individual, like there's such different sound profiles. So I enjoy that, and then taking some ums out just helps the flow, I find. But I've also made the discovery that I would sometimes make the breaks in between words a bit shorter, or in between sentences a bit shorter, and I've gotten the feedback that it seemed rushed. So I'm moving towards editing less and letting it more raw, which fits the format, leaving it more raw, and at the same time, as I said, like with the perspective of making it audible friendly. So because I see the difference between, actually, as I say that, I have given this some thought or some reflection or some noticing of when I'm on video. If I watch a video, I can see you're still there. If there's a long pause, as when people think about the answer or they're just taking a break to reflect, then like a 30-second pause in an audio is just, where are these people? So I cut those shorter so that there's still an audible pause, but that it doesn't, like that it's still in a flow, that it doesn't that people don't drop out, basically, but they know, okay, there's still this going. That, and sometimes just also removing some background sounds that are disturbing, or making, sometimes if the quality of a microphone can vary, and so my voice might be really loud and the interviewee might be really soft, so bringing that up so that it's not like this explosion on the ear when you're tuning it up for the interviewed person, and then listening to the other person, it's like these big differences make it hard to listen. So there goes care into that, and I enjoy that. Does that answer your question? Or
Yes. Okay. I feel that's my questions I had. I'm just aware of my am now.
Yeah,
Yeah, is there anything else from your side that you want to say about this experience of edgecasting or bridging it?
yeah, I want to say that I've been working with this question to hold space for that as a specialty, and I think it's something also to not do alone, and whether I would like to keep researching with you as you have this interest. And what you're saying, it's like paving out the path, like, or one path, or like elements of the path rather, because it's not linear. Mapping
Mm.
it, that what is already has already what I've already discovered without noticing maybe that I've discovered something, because it seems little in moments, and then I forget that it's actually relevant, and to map that out. I would like to keep researching. And and this other thing is that no matter how, like, really don't don't do it alone. It's like, have a team. I've created myself an Edgecasting team in different editions, and at the moment there are other women that love interviewing. Like Annika Kosten has also held space for some episodes, and to be collaborating with that, so that other influences can come in, and to collaborate. I think it's really time to collaborate in whatever we do, to not do it alone, not figure it out alone. Either way, and I can recommend creating a team that could be in the background for questions that you have that have a yes to your Edgecast, or people that love editing or want to learn how to edit, or people that love to scout and find people, I don't know, whatever, or that love to do write-ups. This is also another territory of how do you write it up so that people get what it's about, and that it can be found also. That's something on the web that I think this can also be refined. It's like, okay, how to write it up so that it can be found easily.
I get goosebumps when you speak about edgecasting as a specialty, and I get this image of people going out into the world and with their questions and with their listening, building out a kind of space inside of them, but also in the ether, for important, for conversations to be had that need to be had, that need to be that somehow contribute to this whole thing that's happening. And I feel very glad, and it's such a unique skill. I'm noticing that myself, to learn to listen properly and how to weave the flow of a conversation and make it an enriching experience for everybody involved. And just while listening to you now, I can listen to these different things, like to the facts, to what speaks through you, to where do I see you being, having it's not even information like in the word sense, but where's you being offering me transformation and information on a level that I can't even like pick up with my mind, but on another level. And to have that as a kind of path to grow the skill of listening and deepen that research in that realm and make it a five-body intimacy, archetypal listening journey, space, adventure.
Wow.
Seems so powerful. And also what that means for transformation, how like the power of listening for transforming the person that you're listening to, and you yourself who's listening.
Yeah, I'd say for transformation to be able to occur. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's then from the intention. Yeah, cool.
And I've worked with some people who weren't from the possibility management context who I felt through their power of their listening, they were doing some kind of other therapies, were able to invoke or give me an experience of feeling myself in a way I've never felt myself before. And so there's such a unique power in it that I think is so valuable of making it a path or a research.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious about that. Like that's the place also where I want to learn more. I want to learn as much as I can from any context that has something about that to hold space for that kind of listening that is transformative and that opens up possibility for transformation, for evolution, for humans to be really to become their consciousness in action. Yeah, this radical responsibility piece to shift consciousness in humans. And I sense that that it's time to build bridges outside the possibility management world. Yeah, I mean, there are these bridge builders, and I'm a kind of bridge builder through the Edgecast. This is like a bridge building endeavor, and yeah, I sense this necessity to really build circle building, and reach beyond people that already have been to possibility management spaces that already have found the bridge, basically have found the bridge already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. And I get this and build a build some kind of, it's like a God, the words are coming that I don't like the words that are coming from me right now, but I get this image of there's some kind of body of knowledge is being built, some kind of body of experience or speaking about things is being built that people can go through. And I'm going right now through these podcasts from the 70s of the Clinton recorded, Clinton Callahan and his crew, and I'm so astonished by the research that the people in the spaces that he was back then in already did. And I'm just like, wow, this is so edge stuff. And yeah, and to not underestimate the value of that research, even though it seems so mundane maybe for us to now, but for some kind of future.
Yeah. And yeah, I notice that it matters for me that it is actually not so much about, it's not so much about, it is partly documenting what happened or what people have done. And my purpose is really to go into the future from that, or to launch. It's like the launch pad. It's like, okay, so how does it go to build out Archiarchy then from the step? Okay, and then build out into the future. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, I'm having this memory of the job of storytellers in the past. Storytellers were those people who gathered the stories and came to places to tell them. And they were trained in this, and that was the non-material value these people carried. And there might be coming the time in Archiarchy where there's the necessity for Edgecasters to record some kind of evolution of a human for the whole, for everybody to hear, to, I don't know, to be with. And yeah, these people need to start training now.
Yeah, and I think actually the time is now. It is now. The necessity is now. You have the necessity. I have the necessity. Others have the necessity. So this is the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And did you read Ender's Game?
Mm-hmm.
Speaker for the Dead seems also.
I did not read that one yet.
But he spoke about this in the end, that he became a speaker for the dead. And you didn't read Ender's Game, or you didn't read Speaker?
I didn't
Okay.
read. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
just at the end of Ender's Game, there's the story of this. They found this, like, I don't want to spoil people with the.
Give it away.
Like,
But he becomes the speaker.
yeah, and he becomes a speaker for the dead as his job. So when someone is dying, he comes and speaks to them, or no, actually, when someone died, sorry, that's wrong. When someone died, he comes and speaks for the dead person, and he speaks about their life, and he speaks about what they were, what they did, what they stood for. So as his archetypal job for sharing the legends about this person. And yeah, I'm just mentioning it also for making this image bigger of what an Edgecaster, what a job he might have.
Yeah, and she. They. Yeah. 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 And the main thing for me is really, it's like, yes, acknowledging that it is a job, acknowledging that it is to be built out, and acknowledging that it's worth going into the direction of what really excites you to research and to bring to the light. It's like make visible. It's a part of the job is make visible. Yeah, be it about what's already working or what could work differently, like into the future.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, love that. And yeah, because what you're saying, like bring it to the light means like you have each Edgecaster has a certain listening, what he's listening for, what he's wanting to bring to the light. And so each Edgecaster could make an interview with a person and totally create a total different story out of it.
That would be an experiment to do.
Yeah.
And I also, as I listen to you, is I get the sense that men would actually really love this job because it's like you can be nothing. Yeah, you can
Finally.
nothing and really practice that through that, and then you can hold space for that in your everyday life. It's like a practice ground for that, and delivering self like a value service to the bigger community through that.
Mm-hmm.
But that, so yes, this is great. And then from that comes the question, okay, and what is where is maybe a different quality when a man listens from nothing and a woman listens from everything? And how does it go, like, because feminine and masculine is in each of us, like, how could maybe also you listen from everything, how could I listen from nothing? And in a way, I think sometimes I do that and sometimes I don't, to be more conscious of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I love that. We've in this conversation we have spoken about 4 more kinds of different listening than is on the list of listenings. So this list will keep on growing, it seems like. listening from nothingness, listening from everythingness.
Yeah.
Said a few other ones. Listening for the beingness.
Yeah, and also listening for facts. Yeah, you mentioned that also.
Okay, that's for me, I think, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, that seems complete too. I will go with this. I will walk with this question of what next to build out really a game world around this skills or these the not even build, let it emerge. Like that this the next step for the next step. Yeah. Will you do the same? Will you listen for your necessity and the necessity of the field and be in touch if you have?
Yes. And I just got these images of, okay, there might be a listening training coming up.
Yes, I have that also in me. Yes, cool. And I would love to sort of tap into Clinton's research there. I think he's researched quite a bit about listening too.
How are you going to do that?
I will ask him whether he's available for a conversation and or a work talk about it, like a space where others can also benefit from that.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Cool.
then yeah, I'm in between spaces, so I don't want to commit to anything right now, and I have the urge of like, okay, let's do something.
Yeah, well, and somehow keep it like I don't have, I've also quite a few things to do in the next months, 2 months, but to keep that research, I will keep that research close to me and yeah, test out things and do experiments about it. And I think then there will be some time to fertilize that and see what emerges.
Yes, great. Let's do that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you,
So
Kian.
thank you. Yeah.
See you another time.
See you. Bye.